Your body is empty space. Almost all of the ordinary matter, 99.9999999% of it, is empty space. If you took out all of the space in our atoms, the entire human race, all 7.7 billion of us, would fit into the volume of a sugar cube. Some days, you might feel like a pretty substantial person. Maybe you have a lot of friends, or an important job, or a really big car. But it might humble you to know that all of those things, your friends, your office, your really big car, you yourself, and even everything in this incredible, vast universe, are almost entirely, 99.9999999% empty space. If the nucleus were the size of a peanut, the atom would be about the size of a baseball stadium. If we lost all the dead space inside our atoms, we would each be able to fit into a particle of dust, and the entire human species would fit into the volume of a sugar cube. Why is Mars red? Mars is red because its surface contains a lot of rust. The simple explanation for the red planet's color is that its regolith, or surface material, contains lots of iron oxide, the same compound that gives blood and rust their hue. But why does Mars have so much iron? Why is that iron oxidized, and why does iron oxide look red? It all started 4.5 billion years ago. When the solar system formed, many of the planets landed a dose of iron. Forged in the heart of long-dead stars, the heavy element swirled around in the cloud of gas and dust that gravitationally collapsed to form the Sun and planets. Whereas the bulk of Earth's iron sank to its core when the planet was young and molten, NASA scientists think Mars' smaller size, and weaker gravity, allowed it to remain less differentiated. It does have an iron core, but abundant iron exists in its upper layers, also. Plain old iron looks shiny black. The element only takes on a reddish tinge when it has been exposed to oxygen, and enough oxygen at that for it to become iron 3, oxide, an atomic five-sum composed of 2 iron atoms and 3 oxygen atoms. So why did so much of the iron on Mars' surface oxidize, or gang up with oxygen? In fact, the jury's still out on that one. For sure, some sort of weathering gradually rusted the iron on Mars. But did the ancient rainstorms that are thought to have occurred on a young, wet Mars rust the iron by pounding the regolith with oxygen atoms freed from water molecules? Or, did the oxidation happen gradually over billions of years, as sunlight broke down carbon dioxide and other molecules in the atmosphere, producing oxidants such as hydrogen peroxide and ozone? Or, as a group of Danish scientists suggested in 2009, have Martian dust storms slowly rusted the iron, by crumbling the quartz crystals that also exist in the regolith and leaving their oxygen-rich surfaces exposed? Because no one yet knows the right explanation, the color of Mars is, in a sense, still a mystery. But however its surface rusted, the compound iron 3, oxide appears red because it absorbs the blue and green wavelengths of the light spectrum while reflecting the red wavelengths. The planet's bloody tinge, visible even from millions of miles away, got it strapped with the name of the Roman god of war, while other civilizations also named the planet for what was once its main distinguishing feature. The Egyptians called it Herdesher, meaning the red one, while ancient Chinese astronomers went with the fire star. Venus. The hottest planet in the solar system is Venus, with an estimated surface temperature of 864 F, 462 C. The second planet from the Sun and Earth's closest neighbor, Venus is famously known for being the brightest object in our night sky aside from the Moon. Venus is very similar to Earth both in size and in gravity levels. It is a terrestrial planet and is visible to the naked human eye. One of the most fascinating facts about Venus is the planet's day and year length. One rotation on Venus lasts for the equivalent to 243 Earth days, which is the longest length of any planet in the solar system. Interestingly, Venus takes 224.65 Earth days to complete a revolution around the Sun. This means that a day on Venus is technically longer than a year. The composition of Venus is similar to that of planet Earth. It has a rocky surface and an iron core at its center. The atmosphere of Venus is mostly made out of carbon dioxide. The planet has a very strong greenhouse effect, which results in a very high average temperature. The average temperature of Venus is 864 degrees Fahrenheit, or 462 degrees Celsius. Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system, even though Mercury is technically closer to the Sun. How many stars are there? There are about 100 billion stars in the Milky Way alone. Have you ever looked up into the night sky and wondered just how many stars there are in space? This question has fascinated scientists as well as philosophers, musicians and dreamers throughout the ages. Look into the sky on a clear night, out of the glare of streetlights, and you will see a few thousand individual stars with your naked eyes. With even a modest amateur telescope, millions more will come into view. So how many stars are there in the universe? It is easy to ask this question, but difficult for scientists to give a fair answer. Stars are not scattered randomly through space, they are gathered together into vast groups known as galaxies. The Sun belongs to a galaxy called the Milky Way. Astronomers estimate there are about 100,000 million stars in the Milky Way alone. Earth's velocity. The Earth's average velocity orbiting the Sun is 110,000 kilometers per hour. Earth's average orbital speed is about 30 kilometers per second. In other units, that's about 19 miles per second, or 67,000 miles per hour, or 110,000 kilometers per hour, 110 million meters per hour. What causes tides? High and low tides are caused by the moon. High tides and low tides are caused by the moon. The moon's gravitational pull generates something called the tidal force. The tidal force causes Earth, and its water, to bulge out on the side closest to the moon and the side farthest from the moon. These bulges of water are high tides. As the Earth rotates, your region of Earth passes through both of these bulges each day. When you're in one of the bulges, you experience a high tide. When you're not in one of the bulges, you experience a low tide. This cycle of 2 high tides and 2 low tides occurs most days on most of the coastlines of the world. Density of Saturn. The planet Saturn has a density lower than water. So, if placed in water it would float. Saturn has the lowest density of all the planets in the solar system. The actual number is 0.687 grams per cubic centimeter. This is actually less dense than water. If you had a large enough pool of water, Saturn would float. Hydrogen. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, 75%. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe. According to the Big Bang Theory, the universe at beginning expanded and later cooled to form subatomic particles and the simplest elements. Hydrogen along with some helium and lithium is the first element came into existence in the universe. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe. It accounts for almost 73 to 75% of all matter in the universe. Helium is the second most abundant element, which is approximately 24%. Both represent 99% of the total matter. Oxygen follows helium as the third most abundant element. Then there are traces of other elements like carbon, nitrogen, iron, and many others. How far is the moon? The average distance between the Earth and the moon is 238,855 miles, 384,400 kilometers. Earth's moon is the brightest object in our night sky and the closest celestial body. Its presence and proximity play a huge role in making life possible here on Earth. The moon's gravitational pull stabilizes Earth's wobble on its axis, leading to a stable climate. The moon's orbit around Earth is elliptical. At perigee, its closest approach, the moon comes as close as 225,623 miles, 363,104 kilometers. At apogee, the farthest away it gets, the moon is 252,088 miles, 405,696 kilometers, from Earth. On average, the distance from Earth to the moon is about 238,855 miles, 384,400 kilometers. According to NASA, that means 30 Earth-sized planets could fit in between Earth and the moon. How big is the moon? The moon is 27% the size of the Earth. Earth's moon is the brightest object in our night sky. It appears quite large, but that is only because it is the closest celestial body. The moon is a bit more than 1/4, 27%, the size of Earth, a much smaller ratio, 1:4, than any other planets and their moons. Earth's moon is the 5th largest moon in the solar system. The Moon's mean radius is 1079.6 miles, 1737.5 kilometers. Double those figures to get its diameter, 2159.2 miles, 3475 kilometers, less than a third the width of Earth. The Moon's equatorial circumference is 6783.5 miles, 10,917 kilometers. If Earth were the size of a nickel, the Moon would be about as big as a coffee bean, according to NASA.